course, Coast needs to pick up a win here. They also face Curse at the end of Super Week, so if they can get this one here, keep pace, they can actually overtake and take 6 at the end as we get ourselves through the game.
Yeah, and I don't know, after Cloud9's earlier performance, maybe people are expecting them to be trying the new things, and they might not be as worried as they used to.
Well, Elise, and shockingly, the Karthus dropped away from Reginald. I don't think anyone's surprised to see that actually get banned through. We've only seen it pass through Champ Select once in TSM games, and this will be no exception. Twisted Fate dropped down as well. Teams really do like banning out Reginald.
Yeah, the Karthus, that's a definitely 100% ban that against Reggie. The Twisted Fate, some teams actually give that to Reggie so that they give him the opportunity to be in the wrong position and make a game-changing call at the end of the game.
Yeah.
They actually kind of put that power into his hands and and force him to make the right call.
Well, and you know, Reginald talked about in his interview bringing out new picks, and he said, well, last time they let us have all our old champions, so we just played it. This time with Karthus, TF, and Shen dropped. This is now TSM having to find some new picks. I'm curious to see what they actually end up being. Of course, yeah, it's TSM's turn to make some new happen, I guess.
We aren't going to have those globals that they rely very heavily on. All 3 of these ones are taken out. The Nocturne is still up, but that's usually paired with another global. So they don't usually take a Nocturne by itself. And in this situation, when the globals are banned out, TSM usually falls back on a team fighting, sort of mid-game, sort of dragon fight oriented team. So I expect to see some more bruisers here, some more AoE, and they're probably going to be looking to pressure the early dragons.
There's actually a comp. I kind of look at Reginald's face right there, and he was like smiling and discussing with his team, sort of thinking about what they want to play as they. Ooh, Ari actually comes in here.
Okay,
so
then.
There's the decision they go for. The Ari, we've seen her first pick before, pretty popular mid laner, and that's Reggie's pick.
Right, the very popular pick, Assassin Mage that we talked about in the pregame for the last game. She's actually pairs really well with Nocturne. Like Jat said, they used to be a very common pick Ari and Nocturne just so you can get a kill because they both have gap closers and they both have CC. So whoever's in that lane against Ari has a very, very tough time getting away from both of them.
Well, and it looks like Shiphtur's going to go melee mode to deal with that. Looks for the Diana here. For we've actually seen it as a top laner. I know Voyboy's run it before, but tends to be in sort of the mid lane role. So guessing Shiphtur there. Of course, the NASA's coming through as well. So interesting that's actually one of the big Reggie champions as well. The Diana to start things out. So interesting picks coming through.
Diana is a very all-in champion right there. They've just showed their cards, and whoever's on that Diana is going to be up and exposed. So it's putting them at risk for a gank-heavy jungler because they have also picked Nasus, who does not have a very strong early ganking presence.
True. So we'll see if he can mop up the lanes as Shiphtur runs around. Of course, the Zyra Caitlyn lane coming through for them. As you mentioned, I was going to hope he was going for Nocturne here. Just kidding. Yeah, so the Zyra Caitlyn lane showing up immediately after TSM shows Twitch Sona.
And with the added armor of turrets, it's interesting how the lanes matchups are playing out because, yes, you won't take the turret quite as early with a very long-range combo like Zyra Caitlyn. That used to be a dead giveaway. You're going to take a turret extremely early because not only do you have one of the longest range AD carries, but also one of the longest range supports. Now, that combo can actually zone the other person in your lane for even longer because the turret's going to stay up. The extra armor, and you're going to actually lose out more minions to that turret. So that's more gold and more experience that's going to be lost as the game extends to that 8-minute point where the armor does drop back down.
So here we go, guys. The picks have come through all the way. Dyrus going to be back on his Rumble. Another comfortable champion for him. In fact, most of the TSM lineup looking pretty comfortable. And, of course, that leads us into ZionSpartan is back on Riven. 5-0 with the champion so far. We'll see if he can make it 6.
Well, I talked about the Diana being all-in. This is a very dive-heavy, all-in composition here from Team Coast. They put both of their solo laners as melee champions. Yeah, one's AP and one's AD, so they have a good mix of damage, but they're still thinking the same thing. They're trying to dive. So it's going to be a very dive-heavy team here for that Team Coast, whereas TSM, they're looking for...
Sorry, I just keep going.
No, yeah. You're going to make a dive.
No, we're done. I completely ruined
Scuba
it.
maybe joke there.
Well, they don't have Gragas, unfortunately. But TSM.
Okay.
TSM on the other side. I'm a terrible person. I apologize.
TSM are going to be looking to control those melee champions. They've picked up Jarvan, who can literally change the terrain to keep those champions in one place. They both have dashes, so you have to be very careful how he does that. But the Jarvan plus the Rumble are a good answer for that. They can control a lot of the area on the battlefield as well with that Sona. So good job here by TSM. The last couple picks actually in response to Team Coast.
Great choices by these guys, of course. They've swapped up, picked their lanes, picked their champions, and here we go. TSM neck and neck with Counterlogic Gaming in a battle for third. Coast needing this win to get back closer to 6th place. TSM in blue, Coast in red. They make their way out through the maps. Interestingly enough, though, Coast making a sort of differentiation at level 1. Most of the team running down towards that bottom side lane. They're just sending Daydreamin off to ward their own jungle engage.
They definitely do have a different plan here. Not very many teams will ward this far down. So since they've sent everybody through the lane, they know up until this point, they haven't been seen because you can't place wards in the enemy lane. So they have the advantage, the slight advantage right now, because they also sent Daydreamin to defensively ward.
And I checked right there, Daydreamin did not get seen by that mid lane ward here. So he's waiting to group with the team. Then Coast's going to dive in. The third Q, actually, Zion uses that to check the brush in case there were TSM people there. And of course, TSM are standing on top of a Coast ward as they invade. So Coast doing a very good job, I think, in their level 1 engage so far.
Right. TSM currently are completely oblivious to the movements of Team Coast. And they're a little bit worried right now. That's why they're just placing this red buff ward and getting right out of there. They have no idea what Team Coast are up to.
And WildTurtle and ZionSpartan both recalling back to base. Xpecial doing the same. I want to know where TSM goes because Coast are clearly looking for some kind of stab at level 1. Not finding it though. Just looks like a steal at red buff is all they're going to get, which, heck, it's not the worst thing in the world.
It's a very strong move because TSM are unaware of this steal. So if the TheOddOne goes with a regular jungle path, then he will actually waste some of his time by taking the blue and then going right over to his red buff, where there will be no red buff for him to steal. WildTurtle coming over to check it, and they will be aware. Red buff taken away.
Ward goes down. Nintendo will use Smite on this one, but of course now it doesn't get level 2. Part of that is 3.10 or 3.09 changes. No longer gets level 2 just from the big buff right there. So Nintendo a little bit worse for the wear from this one. Of course, TheOddOne getting his blue cleanly. And we'll see if anyone can stop him as he goes for what looks like a steal on Coast's red.
So they are just going to answer back, and we will have buff exchanges here. The duo lane for Coast is in the middle, though, so they could actually collapse effectively onto Jarvan, but they're not going to pull that trigger.
I'm not sure their ward saw him jump over Baron.
It's just at the edge here of the corner. This one tree on the back of the red buff blocked the vision there, so they didn't actually get to use their duo lane mid to send anyone back.
Wow. Tree SM.
And now Zion shoving the lane all the way up to the turret and then pulling back. Very, very safe play for him. It was very good that he pulled that, but he's not waiting long enough in that bush, and the TheOddOne deciding to come in from the bottom.
Lurking in the shadows. Will he get the knock up on a Zion? Recalling in the brush right here, and you can see how afraid this poor Riven is to last hit. He knows there's a really good chance he gets ganked. Nice actual ping. Yeah, so the ward was down actually at the red buff of Coast, pinged that Nintendo was coming over for a counter gank, or at least to be nearby in case that Zion needed help. And looks like it's just TheOddOne's still lurking in the shadows, but he's like waiting for this gank to happen.
Well, up top, yes, there's going to be a counter gank, but they're also doing these repeated AD carry and support switches. Let's see how TheOddOne deals with Nintendo here. Getting definitely a very nice chunk of damage.
200 HP left. Flash Ignite lands the first E. Is it going to be enough for Nintendo? It's going to be close. Last tick will not kill him. 24 HP on NintendudeX. He's going to get out. Had to burn his own flash, though, with Dyrus burning both his summoners.
That's just unfortunate. Dyrus was ready to go all in to grab that first blood, but the TheOddOne backed off, and he was not able to follow up. If he could just flash auto attack, that would have been the first blood right there, but not quite on the same page for Dyrus and the TheOddOne. And they don't go all in for that kill, and they don't get it.
All right, well, nice try, though. At least putting some summoners away. ZionSpartan actually stuck in a 1v2 at his own turret. But look at him, last hitting pretty successfully, 23 to Dyrus' 18, despite Zion being the one pushed, outlast hitting his opponent. Seems that Riven very comfortable here, but meanwhile, look at the WildTurtle Xpecial lane pushing down on a Shiphtur, making his life difficult. Only 16 minions on him.
So we've seen actually 2 switches already of the AD carry and supports, bottom lane and middle, because Team Coast are trying to get this matchup here, and they don't want to have the Diana laning against that Ahri right now.
Good moves then. TSM doing a pretty good job. You can see the turret in the 2v1 lane, that early game turret armor, as you mentioned. The turret staying above half HP for now. A little bit of poison damage from WildTurtle, and Shiphtur just trying to keep this building alive.
We do have TheOddOne just coming in to support this middle turret, because they don't want to trade damage on mid turret for damage on bot turret. But it still is pre-8 minutes right now. At the 4-minute mark is when the armor starts decreasing for these outer turrets, and then it gets back down to normal around those 8 minutes. They're still ahead on the turret though. They're taking good chunks out of it.
Good job then here by both teams. With the pressure, you're actually seeing Coast up to a 200 gold lead from all the lane shenanigans, so I got to hand it to them. AD carries pretty close to equal. It's really just, I feel, the Riven making a lot of the moves here. Nintendo shows back up for the mid lane, though, and that's actually right around the time Reggie had backed out for a new Doran's Ring, so a lot of damage going on to that turret, down very, very low, and you're seeing not really the same fate yet for Shiphtur's turret. He's got a bit more health in that one.
Reggie, though, coming back with 2 Doran's Rings and that Crystalline Flask, he does have decent wave clear, being able to spam out his Orb of Deception now. It's not going to be enough to save this turret, though.
Now, well done by Team Coast. The mid turret goes down at 611. Pretty early turret kill right now. Now, can they stop WildTurtle and Xpecial in time?
They're heading 3 men down the river to go take the pressure off of that bottom turret, and they don't actually even have to have a successful gank. Just by staying out of vision, they were able to keep Xpecial and WildTurtle from auto-attacking during that one wave.
And meanwhile, actually in the top lane, you're seeing just more pushing coming through. I mean, we've seen the dual lane of Coast pushing, the dual lane of TSM pushing, Dyrus still trying to push as well. Burns his ulti to shove the minions down, getting Zion to his turret so that Dyrus can recall and pick up some new items. Without ulti, I don't think it's a push for Dragon, but at least wanted to buy.
So, something that people have not been talking about with the changes with the armor for turrets early in the game is, I believe the importance on the first Dragon has been increased tremendously, because it's very hard for your opponents to answer that early Dragon with a top turret kill, because the turrets have more armor. So if you leave your lane up top and you actually bring down a Rumble with an ultimate, if TSM had decided to go for that early Dragon, it would have been harder for Zion to answer and take the top turret down.
Yeah, and you're seeing, though, that no one's gone for it just yet. We have seen a couple of steals, though. A few other teams have definitely gone for the early turret kill, or sorry, the early Dragon kills here. So Coast just with the turret lead right there. Minion kill seems to have sort of equaled out, because it's just that 750 gold lead, which equates again to just that turret right here. But the rest of Coast, they're leaving Zion in the top lane, just as TSM are leaving Dyrus up there. No one really, well, I should know one's really looking for it, but the pink ward's down, and Nintendo is certainly nearby.
Well, those switches that we were talking about with the AD carry and supports in the mid and bottom lane really paid off for Coast. They were able to get that mid turret with no objective answered for TSM, and they have a level 6 Nasus. So if they can actually clear out that pesky ward in the back of the Dragon, then they can take that one with TSM unawares.
See if they can do that, though. Of course, the blue buff has respawned here on this side of the map. The first one already went over to Reginald in the mid lane. He got that from TSM's side as he continues to wave clear with all his mana regen. Looks like a similar fate here for Shiphtur, getting his own blue buff just now 8.5 minutes. But you're seeing Reggie's push towards the turret do some pretty good damage with those minions.
And now that Shiphtur's level 6, they're fine with having him lane against Reggie, because she actually does very well. If Reggie decides to all in on Shiphtur, then he can stand there and fight them. And it's really just going to be farming different waves. Reggie's trying to keep up the pressure on the turret so that there's no opportunity for Shiphtur to roam and pick up kills elsewhere.
All right, well, good job by these guys. Then Reggie, the constant pushing, definitely keeping things down. Even though Shiphtur got an okay lane to start things out, it's not being allowed to capitalize on that. So good stuff. WildTurtle, though, still in the 2v2, 85-66. I got to point out that minion kill lead, pretty good for this TSM squad.
And that is the side effect there for Team Coast always being the one switching They had spent a lot of time for Caitlyn walking back down so they could get that early turret. But this Zyra-Caitlyn combo, like I said, one of the longest range combos that you can have in the early game. Zyra with that 575 attack range helps a lot in the early game for poking. Now that it's into 9 minutes and people are past that level 6, it's not quite as effective because the ultis and the all-in from the Twitch Sona combo could burst them down.
And you just saw TheOddOne showing up as well for a little bit of moral support, gave TSM the numbers advantage they needed to get their own turret kill, which actually puts TSM now in the gold lead. Despite early evidence to the contrary, TSM really pulling this game back now. They are in the lead. The Rumble ulti back up. Reggie's actually on cooldown from fighting Shiphtur earlier, but I want to see if a team actually goes for a dragon now that the ultimates are back and the turret's starting to fall.
And there won't be top laners in this dragon fight, but Shiphtur using his teleport onto a plant in the side lane there and having to cancel it. So it will be a half cooldown, but it's still on cooldown.
It is still on cooldown. So nothing found right here, unfortunately, for Shiphtur. WildTurtle, of course, with that turret down, there's nothing really to defend for the Coast lineup either. I want to see still what they end up doing. Seems like both teams really just happy to sort of play the laning phase and wait it out for late game, but I feel like when you've got Twitch Rumble, late game is not the easiest thing to fight against.
That's definitely a lot of area of effect damage. Plus, they have the pick potential from an Ahri. So they've got a very good dual threat composition here where, oh, Dyrus now going to get 2 threats right on his face.
And that's probably going to be a very dead Rumble with their first blood picked up for ZionSpartan. So the teams with different emphases, OddOne and co. takes down the dragon, but that's going to be a first blood and potentially a turret kill now that the armor has fallen off in the top lane for Coast if they can get there in time.
You're right. They would be able to answer this one. Reggie's trying to rotate top to stop that from happening, though.
No, he's got his ultimate. He's got all his summoner spells and certainly a good amount of ability power. You're seeing Shiphtur. The passive does affect turrets at half effectiveness. ZionSpartan, of course, with his auto attacks as well, doing some good damage. But there is Reggie. Burns the ulti. Actually doesn't manage to hit a charm onto a champion, but at least wave clears and keeps the turret alive.
He does scare them off the turret, but TSM did not make any headway in the mid lane either. Because Nasus is so good at stopping pushes, all he had to do was Spirit Fire the wave and put Wither onto WildTurtle, and he was able to save that mid turret the last wave. Now WildTurtle still pushing in. They want to get some more damage on it this one.
So TSM sitting at a 700 gold lead now. Of course, first blood cumulatively worth 600, dragon worth about 1,000. So TSM still in the lead with everything they've done so far. Nintendude still on defense duty, just knocking down some minions. MashMe still farming up closer now to WildTurtle and actually going for a different build. WildTurtle still going for the Blade of the Ruin King here on Twitch, but MashMe going towards Infinity Edge.
And WildTurtle, when he does finish that Blade of the Ruin King, the assassination threat is even there from Twitch because he can go invisible, and having that duelist item of Blade of the Ruin King adds so much threat to that possibility.
And look at this, though, in the top lane. The top laners and the junglers being ready to fight. Now, the knockup does not land from TheOddOne. ZionSpartan has to flash away. Ulti's up in about 10 seconds. Nintendude coming in for the flank. Will they jump into this one? Dyrus does have the equalizer, but no ignite. The chase still on Nintendude, low on mana, trying to put some extra damage out, but here ZionSpartan nearly gets his ulti. There's the equalizer. Doesn't land onto much, though. The knockup could come across. TheOddOne dropping on HP. The knockup there from Zion. Pops his own ultimate. Oh, Windslash is not going to get the kill, but there's the crescendo. Picks up one kill. Xpecial taking it home. And Daydreamin not nearly as impactful in this fight.
Super Soda saves the day, flashes in for the kill right there, able to answer. But during that time, we had a Caitlyn hitting on a middle turret here. So they were able to get at least a little bit of tower damage. Reggie coming in hot. He does not have his ulti up for another 2 seconds. So just barely missing that window of opportunity to go for a kill.
Well, nice attempt right here. Of course, the rest of Coast realized, there could be a Reginald being aggressive. Let's back out real quick.
Well, he did walk by that ward there.
So it really helps your spotting sense when you can see them coming.
Yes. You
don't have to guess, you know. And then you're like, guys, I think Reginald's in the next brush over. That one's in Fog of War. I bet you he's there. Got it right.
Ward's always helping. The blue buff now, that spawning means that we're going to have a conversion of Team Coast, 4 members down here, and TSM not in a position to contest it, but it also puts Reggie a little bit overextended.
This could be risky for him. That next wave is pushed down, and it's Shiphtur still on cleanup duty. Yeah, he is playing it safe. And actually, to point out that Shiphtur's teleport is back up. we saw what it meant for Boy having the TP and being a strong duelist. I want to see if Shiphtur can make this happen as well. Dyrus making his way to the top lane, though. Actually, TSM vastly outnumbering Coast here. This could be a turret picked up for him.
And this is actually good for Coast. They are okay with answering because they've got 3 Memo on a secondary turret in mid lane.
That's a lot of damage coming across. Reggie doing a good job wave clearing, but there might just be enough damage from MashMe. No, there's not actually. Reggie almost by himself defending the turret, keeping TSM from losing more. Meanwhile, that team is still pushing the top lane, 3 men strong. They get the secondary here.
Shiphtur pushing bottom, and now his teleport's ready. He's teleporting in behind enemy lines here. TSM are cornered.
Here we go. Can they get the fight? Coast, ZionSpartan being slowed down. Shiphtur ready to engage this one, but he is going to be alone. Blade of the Rune King used, jumps in, knocked into the air. There's the OddOne, there's NintendudeX. The damage coming across, beautiful equalizer. Shiphtur has to flash away from that one. OddOne dropped low on HP. ZionSpartan picks up one. Can he re-engage on a WildTurtle? No, they can't. Xpecial and Reginald are showing back up here. Teleport used for 1 kill so far. Actually, take that back. Daydreamin got killed as part of that fight. So 1 for 1, actually. And TSM still have control over the top lane.
Yeah, that was some more Ahri on Zyra violence that we've seen so much of. It seems like every time a mid lane Ahri is going with towards even the Deathfire Grasp build, they just all in the Zyras. And that was really because Coast were all focused on surrounding the 3 members of TSM top. Everybody was just looking at that top lane and all heading there, thinking that they had a great plan and they had trapped everyone from TSM. But they left behind little old Daydreamin coming in from the backside, and Reggie on Ahri, so mobile, able to take advantage of the open field there and come out with an answer kill.
Extremely well played by Reggie here. And to point out one thing, because last time we saw the Zyra get just exploited by Ahri, I wanted to see what runes they were running. Daydreamin does have 43 magic resist. He does have MR blues, and even through that was still getting taken down. So tried to defend, still couldn't do it. Reggie, lots of damage by him.
Yeah, well, you know, I talked about the Deathfire Grasp build, but he actually just completed that Abyssal Scepter. So that's a lot of flat... Oh, no, never mind. He completed the Deathfire Grasp. Yeah. He didn't have that when he killed Ahri, or when he killed Zyra, though.
So even without full items, still able to kill off the supports. I assume it just gets worse from here for Coast. I think the addition of items tends to make you die more. So Reggie's going to have fun killing things, which just fits his playstyle so well.
Coast doing a good job timing this dragon, and they have 4 people in position. Since they have vision of Dyrus, they're going to have the confidence to posture around this dragon, but Zion's not there either. And both members are actually going to join this fight at the same time. So if they do decide to just burn this one down, then it's going to be a very even battleground here.
TSM have taken ward control, though. Look at that. They've got good vision. They're staying on top of one.
Watch the crescendo here. Xpecial is ready with flash and crescendo. That could lock up Coast and just make their entire day terrible if they decide to go inside that pit.
Here's the stealth from WildTurtle. Sees if he can find anything. Doesn't quite. Intended poking out with a Spirit Fire. Doesn't take damage from Reggie. Reggie with blue buff is able to spam pretty easily. Plan comes out from Daydreamin. Dyrus now in the front looking for poke. So Mash is going to push this bottom lane down. WildTurtle doing the same for mid.
Yeah, they're playing chicken here, sending both AD carries to the closest lanes to try and push them. And Coast trying to force TSM's hand here. This is really dangerous, though. They're playing with fire. Because like we said before, if a flash crescendo or Cataclysm can lock up members of Coast, there they go.
The fight comes on in. Stranglethorns, the Demacia, and everything. Crescendo lands on so many. 1 kill picked up. ZionSpartan trades one back, but drops. 3 kills picked up for Dyrus. WildTurtle on the chase. Looks for Daydreamin, finds the kill. 4-1 that team fight. Wonderful job by TSM.
And Coast was just done after Xpecial was able to get off that crescendo. Valiant effort there. Xpecial, even though you died, you were able to take out 4 people with you by getting your ulti off first. And it's because of that melee-heavy composition that Coast is running. They all are forced to group up like that. So they went to go try and burst them down, but they couldn't quite get it. Look, Shiphtur goes in, then everybody's going into that melee range right next to Xpecial, and he gets an easy crescendo off even though they're able to take him out. The Rumble ultimate also doing a great job of zoning, and WildTurtle was free to shoot the entire time there. 0 threat was put onto him, so he wasn't worried about positioning, only damage.
Well, great job then, TSM. Team fighting has always been one of their core strengths, and you saw it right there. Xpecial not even needing to flash to land the crescendo, just was in the right place at clearly the right time. So, Ahri, though, you see him lurking around behind Shiphtur. He doesn't know about this. There we go. Reggie spots Shiphtur. Shiphtur does the same. DFG goes off. Charm does not land. Shiphtur still trying to fight. Ignite goes off. Reggie's still chasing down. Can Shiphtur find the damage? Double ult comes across. The passive damage dodges the other part of Q, but still goes down. Reggie winning the duel. Good job, Reginald.
Yeah, good job, Reginald. But, you know, he's the Ahri with the Deathfire Grass. Definitely has a very strong advantage in that one, especially since Shiphtur is running Teleport. So he didn't have Ignite either, and Reggie was able to pull Ignite in that fight, which actually made a very close difference.
Oh, good job then. And the Summoner Spell difference showing off right there. Shiphtur's TP will be back up very soon. Last time he used it, I think, was for that top lane gank that didn't quite work out. But we'll see if he can keep split pushing later on. The steal on the red buff happening, though, for TSM. They've got control. They're the ones stealing things away, making things happen. This is TSM's game so far.
It's their game right now, and if Coast want to change that, they're going to have to try and make use of the advantage that they have, which is that teleport. They do have the opportunities to have Shiphtur split pushing, and Diana's a great split pusher. Her passive plus her Crescent Strike are great wave clear, but as we saw before, if Shiphtur's split pushing, he's in danger of Reggie finding him and just killing him straight up. That's the answer to split pushing, is great duelists like Ahri.
And meanwhile, Nintendude is caught in a 1 versus 3. Not a fair duel for Nintendude. Flashes over the wall. Nice root from Daydreamin keeps him safe as well. But Summoner Spell burned.
And if we see another teamfight played out the same way by Coast, then it's going to be very scary because basically they have, if they're going to go with all the melees right next to Xpecial, they have to burst him down before he can get that crescendo off. They have to just 100% him extremely quickly, and they don't have means of locking him down for long enough. Only ZionSpartan stunned there, and it just wasn't enough last time, and it's going to be very dangerous to bet on that again.
TSM, though, without even picking up kills, just have the ability to push down onto the enemy base. 2 secondary turrets have already gone down. ZionSpartan is the only one defending the final tier 2 turret here for Coast, and of course, he is well out of position.
He is Riven, though. He's got plenty of dashes. He can run them on a race. And if Zion can waste a lot of TSM members' time right now, if the whole team's chasing him, then that's another way that Coast could actually get back in this. If they're all spent running around chasing that bunny, and the rest of Team Coast are able to farm up different lanes, then they can slowly close that gold gap. But nobody really is taking that bait. They're not following him down the bunny path.
Zion will get to steal on red, though. Actually decides not to. Thinks he might still be chased around, but could have stolen away red buff. Although at this point, he would have seen all of TSM in mid lane.
Yeah. I mean, that was a good effort by him. He was trying to bait them down, trying to get them to use their time by chasing instead of pushing minion waves into the turrets so they can kill the minions. But TSM don't bite. Good call by them to pull back out.
And here's the wave clear again from Nintendude. The Spirit Fire comes out, the Wither on a WildTurtle, trying to keep his turret alive, but you see it take a little bit of damage here. Coast starting to lose more and more of their base. An 8,000 gold lead for TSM. They've played the map very well. Reggie's on the split push. And lands the charm into ZionSpartan. He could just go into this one. The jump back here from Zion. Can he get away? Oh, a Caitlyn trap helped save him from Reginald. That was good support by MashMe.
MashMe, the support AD carry. And also the Hex Stringer did its part saving him too. The shield definitely comes in handy, but it means that the turret is just getting free shots here from WildTurtle.
But the re-engage might just happen at the bottom lane. Nope, just the wave clear. No engage going to happen here for Team Coast. Reggie's got to find a way to get his health bar back up. He's going to choose to recall in order to do that. And we'll see. We have a little bit of breathing room now for Team Coast. When Reggie goes back, looks like the rest of TSM goes back, and they'll have to renew their advance a little bit later on.
Yeah, Reggie doesn't want to keep up attacking that mid lane turret when his ultimate is down. It's only got 81 seconds, so it's very easy for him to just recall, go from purchasing into getting the blue buff, and then returning to that same position, because he's shown already he can solo any person on Team Coast. He's almost killed Zion right there, 1 versus 1, and he did kill Shiphtur already, so that's both solo laners, and none of the other champions on Team Coast can handle that Ahri 1 versus 1 when his ulti is ready.
That seems to be the case right here. So Reggie just happily finding his next sort of 1v1 opponent, because the duels have gone well for him so far. 2-0-3, having a great time. WildTurtle also on that solo lane split push right here. TSM just powering up their individual members, whereas a lot of Coast seems a little bit too afraid to leave their base, playing defensively kind of around the map. And with Dragon coming up in 10 seconds, that could just be another objective TSM grabs and furthers their lead this game.
Yeah, there's no way Coast would want to go contest this Dragon. If they were not able to pull off that Dragon fight when the gold was even, then with no vision and an item discrepancy, definitely don't want a piece of that fight.
All right, so Dragon gonna go down. OddOne gonna win the smite battle. Might not even smite. Does smite. Okay, OddOne wins the smite battle against nobody. Congratulations, your timing is excellent, good sir, with your own auto attacks. TSM still lurking around. It's Reggie. He was looking at the top lane. Goes mid.
He's pinging out the Baron there, but like you said, OddOne just used a smite on Dragon. So they're probably calling to Reggie, no, we're not going for that right now. I already used my smite. Let's just push up mid here. WildTurtle going in invisible, but he gets rooted up.
OddOne did burn Cataclysm onto MashMe though, so only the 90 caliber net was required by that. Caitlyn Charm lands. Nintendu's going to be in a bad place right here. Turret goes down. There's Equalizer. Doesn't land onto everyone though. Dyrus taking a lot of health. Nintendu forced to flash away. The battle might still rage on. Reggie will not quite find that Charm. Has already burned his ultimate. And ZionSpartan on the other side of the map has taken one turret down, but that's still an inhibitor. Going to be going TSM's way, and Smite will be up in about 30 seconds, so they could keep taking more of this map.
And ZionSpartan's the split pusher with no teleport. They've got Shiphtur, the one with teleport, in base right now. So he can't help with defending, but he could teleport down to help Zion and turn this into a 2v1 on Dyrus.
And it looks like that's not going to be his goal, though. The rest of the team pinging out the fact that Baron is on the table. Coast notices that one ward was put down here. The charm lands. This is not good for Daydreamin, but realizes that Shiphtur is around. Has to flash away from the grasping roots. Good choice by Daydreamin to cast the E, and good escape by Reggie. ZionSpartan's actually waiting for someone to face check him in the jungle.
All right, one Zyra has been saved from the cruel onslaught of Ahri. ZionSpartan looks like he wants to fight with Dyrus here. He's gone sneaking in behind him, and he's got a red pot. There goes the ulti.
There we go. Lands the stun, lands the third part of Q, keeps diving on forward, has the ignite burning. But look at the slows from Dyrus. Zion just cannot pick up that kill. Riley's Crystal Scepter definitely helping Dyrus get away from that one.
It's not got no additional chase abilities there through items or anything, so not much keeping Dyrus in place to fight, and Dyrus doesn't want to, wisely backs away.
Yep, so Shiphtur just going to grab his own blue buff. At least for Coast credit, they've not been losing those two terribly much. They've done a good job of holding their own jungle down. They've lost a couple of buffs. I actually remember a red steal or two that TSM did. Yeah, Reggie just lurking by. Unfortunately for him, Shiphtur had already recalled down at the bottom. Or not Shiphtur, but Zion.
Yeah, those blue buffs are important because when Reggie grabs another one of those blue buffs right now, he just feels like king of the world. He can go wherever he wants. He doesn't feel threatened, like we said, by any single member on Coast, and he actually doesn't feel threatened by even multiple members on Coast because they have nothing to catch him out. The only engage there would be Diana. She doesn't have...
She can dash twice, but not 3 times.
Yeah, she can dash twice, but only slow once. They'd actually have to combo it with a Zyra. So Reggie basically right now just has carte blanche on the entire map. Go wherever he wants and just wreak havoc on Summoner's Rift.
Well, good job then, Reginald. 230 minion kills. WildTurtle actually pulling up first place on the team though with 237. So you can see clearly where the farm has gone on this TSM lineup. They've given it to WildTurtle and Reginald. Couple of steals away on the race as well. Good counter juggling by the AD carry.
He gets pinged out in that bush. They know he's waiting for him.
All right, Reginald, you're a little bit alone, trying to be the aggressive player here. Will Coast fine. Q does not land. Reggie just getting away pretty safely. Not in range of Wither anymore. Just running back. Goes for a bit more damage.
Again. That's why they're going for this.
And there we go. Baron down below half HP. TSM taking it for free. Look at that. Coast not able to stop at all. Reginald just kind of 1v4ing the team, making Baron go down. 28 minutes in, that's theirs. ZionSpartan still in the split, but as you said, he's the guy without teleport. Couldn't rejoin the team.
Yeah, Zion down there. He's getting a lot of minion kills right now, and he should be able to take down the secondary turret. But TSM not too worried about it, and they're going to keep up their presence here in the top lane.
And Baron definitely worth a lot more than a turret, and you're seeing that in the 10,000 gold lead for that TSM lineup. WildTurtle still getting massive. Looks to be working towards a Phantom Dancer after the Infinity Edge and Blade of the Rune King were done. And you see just a huge item lead. Look, compare WildTurtle to what DontMashMe going to do in a team fight. He's got a Zeal and Infinity Edge and part of a pickaxe.
And DontMashMe just lost 2/3 of his life from Reggie's all-in.
Yeah, and it's not even an all-in. He actually gets to save his other dashes to come back out in case someone jumps on him. So
all in.
Partial in.
Let's say 33% in, one charge of the ultimate, and then he can just back right out.
Oh dear, this is not good news for the Coast lineup. Stuck now inside their own base, trying to find a little bit more farm. At the very least for MashMe, he's long-ranged on Caitlyn, and so will eventually be safer in those fights. Shiphtur has also completed his Zhonya's Hourglass finally and is going towards Abyssal Scepter. So when he gets those engages and pulls people in, maybe he can survive those encounters later on. As we saw in the Dragon fight, Crescendo ruined his hopes. Maybe this time around it'll be a little bit nicer for him.
Don't really see what the answer is going to be here for Coast unless they have their melee champions each pick a target and dive different threats. If they all go to WildTurtle and they're all going to try and take out that huge threat that is an Infinity Edge Blade of the Ruined King Twitch, then the same thing's going to happen and they will get locked up by the Crescendo from Xpecial, and then they're even going to lay down the Equalizer on top of that. So what they're going to have to do is poke and prod this TSM team and not all in until they've burned out the cooldown. So they have to play this extremely, extremely well, trying to bait out the spells from TSM before they fully commit.
We'll see if they can do it. Of course, low cooldowns for most of the members of TSM is going to make that a bit harder. So poke him, yeah, MashMe down to like 3/4 health before the battle even starts. There's TSM pushing on forward. Reggie dives on in. The battle beginning. Daydreamin low. A lot of cooldowns burned on him. Shiphtur does pop the Zhonya's. The String of Thorns lands onto nothing. That's not great. The turret goes down, and here comes the battle. It has begun. Shiphtur low on HP. He's going to drop down very early on. Looks at a 2 for nothing so far. Nintendude falls over as well. Next inhibitor is going to drop. This is TSM in full control.
Coast just can't go all in. We can see right there. They were kept on hesitating because diving in onto that WildTurtle was just too dangerous. Going in, they take way too much damage.
And only Reginald even burned his ultimate in that fight. Every other major spell is still up for these guys, and it's going to get only harder in a 3-on-5 for Team Coast. The final inhibitor now opened up for TSM to take down. That's going to be theirs. WildTurtle popping his stealth for a bit of attack speed, and now they can just look towards the Nexus and those final 2 turrets.
Exactly. Xpecial, all he has to do is hold on to that Crescendo, because as long as he saves it for the melee carries, diving onto WildTurtle, there we go. Zion gets it.
And goodbye! WildTurtle's on a killing spree, takes him down. Nintendude's got nowhere to go. He pops down as well. Shiphtur's going to drop. Another bunch of gold picked up. He does take down Reginald, but at that point, who really cares? 12-4. The game is over at 32 minutes flat. TSM taking home their second win of the day, and they're back in sole possession of 3rd place.
Congratulations to TSM, and I feel like we're going to see Samari bans starting in the North American LCS. She has been very highly prioritized by a lot of the teams now for that all-in potential and the picks that she continuously gets.
Yeah, you saw that in what I thought was the saving grace for Coast. They had said, okay, 3 guys of TSM are top. We see Reggie mid. He's not going to get there in time. Guys, let's go. The teleport in from the side, right? Shiphtur showed up onto a ward in the river like 3 screens away, and it was like, oh, Coast has a surround. This will be great. And then Reggie just freely kills Daydreamin, and Coast is like, never mind. We're gonna 1-for-1, and we're gonna leave.
That was their big plan to get back into this game. TSM overextended up top. They just set their net a little bit too wide, and it took too long for them to close in on their targets.
Well played by TSM, of course, playing their style, the aggressive Reginald. A couple of cover picks, couple of new ones, I guess, with the Ari, the other ones, I guess we've seen before. But guys, we've got to take a short break and stock up on some more Vision Wards. But when you return, TSM's Dyrus will rumble to the set and talk about picking up their second win of the day. Plus, we've got our final match of the day, Team Dignitas versus Vulcan. So don't go anywhere because the North American League of Legends Championships